What's going on, y'all? Taylor here with y'all 106.7. Today we are joined by country music artist Duane Propes. Welcome into y'all.
Hi. Well, I'm glad to be with y'all.
Good to have you here. You are one of the founding members of Little Texas, yeah? And you play bass for the band. Tell me about, let's go back to the beginning because you and Porter founded it together, right?
Wow. Well, yeah, kind of. Porter and I started playing together in 1983 when we were in high school in Longview, Texas. And we were doing a three-piece rock and roll band. Had a vocalist named Russell Terrell, who, if you ever look at any album credits coming from the 90s and early 2000s, he is the background singer on every single hit that you ever heard until probably 2002 or 3, maybe 4. Phenomenal singer, just a great guy. But, he was going to Gilmore College at the time. He was 3 years older than me, I believe, 1 year older than Porter. And so we were doing that, and then Porter went to Belmont, and I followed, and came here in 85 and kind of stayed.
Yeah. The rest is history.
Yeah.
I mean, hit after hit after hit. God Bless Texas, Kick a Little, What Might Have Been. I love them all. But what is interesting is a bunch of artists from Texas got together, and they did a Lonestar Salute to Little Texas, and they did a cover album of your song. You produced that album, right?
I produced that album. Yeah, I did. Brandyn Steen came to me, and he had the idea. He'd already kind of started on it. He already had the lineup for God Bless Texas ready to go. And he goes, would the band want to be part of this? And, well, at the time, our drummer, Del Gray, was dealing with some issues with cancer. And he could not, he didn't even come on the road and play with us for 3 years. And we said, well, if we can't get the band in to do the tracks, then, no, the band's not going to do it. And I said, well, you know what? I'll do it. I called my son, Corey, and he played drums on it. He was basically trained by Del,
that's
so
cool.
he knows every lick he ever played. He's played with the band while Del was out. Called Sparky from Leonard Skinner to do guitar. Called my old friend Dane Bryant, who used to be the keyboard player with Clint Black, to do keys, and then we just kind of hired some other people to do this and that, and but the original tracks that Brandyn sent me sounded, and I told him this straight up. I said, dude, this sounds like bad karaoke. This sounds like bad karaoke tracks. Let me just, if you're going to do it backwards instead of letting the artist do what they feel like doing. Well, I mean, with all these artists, with 7 artists on God Bless Texas, you can't do that anyway. I said, but let me make it as original as possible, and then let whoever sings on this stuff do it vocally different, And I said, I got a couple of months, we can knock this thing out. Year and a half later, this thing got done. And I was like, how did I get roped in? It was supposed to be like a month and a half, and now it's been a year and a half, and we just kept adding to it.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, there's 23 either artists from Texas or Texas artists on this thing, and I'm pretty proud of it. It's something that it gives us a little bit of legacy, something that'll kind of pass on and keep the music alive, and that was my goal.
Oh, it's incredible. And you got Neal McCoy, Tracy Lawrence, and then you also have like some newer artists. You have the Colby Cooper and the Troy Cartwright. So it's got to feel good to have all these artists wanting to cover your songs. But I could imagine the control that you'd want to have over it since it's your song. Like, that doesn't sound quite right.
Well, I mean, the only thing I cared about was the track.
Yeah.
I just wanted to have the right feel and just the right sound, because I think the reason that this stuff is still being played on the radio 30, what is it now? Some Guys Have a Love came out in 1991. So it's been almost 24 years. Or 34 years, I'm sorry. The reason that it still holds up is because those tracks are just real feeling. They don't feel like they're done by studio musicians, because they weren't. They're done by a bunch of Hanyaks, a bunch of road guys that just play. And I wanted to have that feel, and it did. It does. It's very, very close to the original.
Well, congrats. That's awesome. Lonestar Salute to Little Texas. Y'all can listen to that. It's out now. I came and saw y'all last year at CMA Fest. Great show. What's like the one song that the crowd is always screaming the loudest?
Oh, guess.
I'm going to say Kick a Little or God Bless Texas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, God Bless Texas for sure. That's one that if we don't do it, we would be probably stoned
Yeah.
by the crowd. You know, they would be so angry. But
Real crowd pleaser there.
yeah.
Well, you touched on the 90s. What an iconic era. You know, that's primarily what we play on Y'all
Thank
106.7.
goodness, and God bless you for it.
Yeah, we love it. What was it like being like the top band in the 90s? I mean, just touring? Was it just chaos, beautiful chaos?
It was chaos because we were on the go continuously. We didn't have time to realize what we had done, and it's taken many years to actually realize what we did. You know, and a lot of these people that did sing on this album, when I talked to them, they're like, I was listening to your stuff and y'all were a great influence, and I'm going, really, you're listening to this when you were like 5, 6 years old. In Colby Cooper's case, he wasn't even born yet when it was hits, and his parents just played it in the truck when he was a kid. And that's how he learned it, and he's a huge fan because of it. But getting back to your question, we were doing 200-something dates a year. We were making albums in the middle of that. So we would basically be on a tour. We would have 2 to 3 weeks that we kind of set aside to go to Memphis and cut an album, get it done, and then get back on the road. There's a great picture that Porter has of him and O'Brien sitting in the restaurant across the street from Ardent Studios in Memphis, literally writing the words to a song that we had just tracked because we didn't have time to finish. It just had to be done so quickly. I remember going to the Grammys, and we got nominated for 3 Grammys, and one of those, especially the first one in New York, we did not realize that we were nominated for Song of the Year, Country Song of the Year. And we were standing against the walls of the parties, just feeling like we don't belong here. We felt like complete outsiders because we've never been those kind of people. We've never been, off stage we are as normal as anybody else in this room. On stage is where, we flip that switch, and then but the switch goes off. I think a lot of really successful artists don't turn that switch off. And that's just part of their, what they are. We are not that. We are just homebody, normal, let's go fish, or do something, bowl, or, But, we've always just felt out of place at in these situations. So we never really realized that we were the top thing out there until somebody said, have you seen your numbers? No. Outside of the chart, no. Because, boys, y'all are slamming. Like, oh, well, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, now what do we do?
I can only imagine. We'll call it iconic, like just the songs are so. And I'm 32, so I can speak to the Colby Cooper thing. It's the songs that I grew up listening to, and we love them so much.
Well, here you go. I appreciate it.
You talked about writing songs quickly. We had interviewed Porter, I think it was last year, and he talked about how he would jot song lyrics down on a Burger King bag because y'all were just always on the go really quick. I mean, how fast would he write a song and then you'd have to learn it and go play it on stage kind of thing?
Okay, a great example. What Might Have Been was written in the back of the bus on a trip from Las Vegas to Oklahoma City. From what I understand, there was a bottle of scotch involved. But I was asleep. When we get up and we're in Oklahoma City, they're loading into this club in Oklahoma. And they go, okay, we've got something, and just played it on acoustic, just like we do now, just acoustic guitar and vocals. And we all just, jaws dropped. And so we worked up the vocals right there on the bus, played it at sound check, and said, okay, it's going in the set tonight. And it did, and the place just came down. It was. We said, this is going to be a hit.
Yeah,
this one's going to work. We know that. Okay, good. Now what do we do to follow it? But that's how fast it can happen. And basically, we've never really rehearsed. We'll go in for sound check, and okay, let's work this up real quick. Vocally, Duane, O'Brien, and I just know where to go instinctively. We don't have to really work on vocals to make things happen. It's pretty simple. just a little, play it at sound check a few times, play it live a few times, then you tweak the arrangement, and then you know what you're going to do when you walk in the studio. And that's how it went. We go in the studio, basically play it live.
That's so great. So looking back, what would you tell yourself when you're in the height of that 90s moment? What would you tell young Duane now that you've had time to process it all?
Pay more attention to the business, for one. And I think any artist in their 20s, when you hit platinum and stuff like that, looking back, 20-something years later, you would probably say the same thing. Yeah. But I wish I really paid attention to the little stuff. The Warner Brothers parties in New York where Snoop Dogg walked up to us and goes, "Man, I likes that first time for everything." And, that's one of the things that it just made my jaw drop. But I was just so confounded at the time that Snoop Dogg would walk up and know a title to a country song. How? Yeah. But I wanted to say, how do you, I wish I would ask questions to people that I was too shy to talk to. That's the biggest thing.
Well, Snoop Dogg was just in Nashville last week. I think he's making a new record. Maybe you could produce a song on there.
Hey!
You never know.
Snoop, if you're listening, hey.
Yeah, shout out. Yeah, Snoop's a big fan of our station. Definitely.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So what about now? Are we going on the road? Are we going to be producing some more albums, songwriting? What are we up to?
We're about to hit the road. We've got this month off, and we're about to hit it hard. We're going out on the Rock the Country tour this year. And that's going to be an absolute blast.
Yeah.
We know half the people on the lineups, and I worked for Gibson Guitars for 4 years doing artist relations when the band had a hiatus, and so I worked with Bobby. I worked with Ryan Peake from Nickelback. Most of these people, on the rock side, that the rest of the band doesn't know. I know, somebody in the organization. So that's going to be fun for me. It's just, reconnecting with a lot of these people that I hadn't seen in a while. But the lineups on that tour are fantastic.
Awesome. We're giving away tickets to the Knoxville show. It's like Kid Rock, Skinner, you mentioned.
Yeah, that's the one that we're doing. That's the only one that we're doing the Saturday show on. And I'm really excited about that one. Of course, my whole family's like, yeah, we're all going.
Yeah.
Okay. Good luck.
Well, you're going to have a busy year. Are we going to do some fishing when we're not working?
No, actually, I'm doing home repair right now.
Home repair? What are we repairing?
Everything.
Everything.
It's just an open checkbook now, and, we'll see what happens on the other side.
Yeah. That's the glorious life of a rock star.
Yep. Yeah, home improvement.
Yeah. Well, what is the best way for people to keep up with you? Do you have a personal page? Is it the Little Texas page?
We have the Little Texas page. It's littletexasonline.com. And from there, you can go to the Facebook page. You can go to the Instagram page. You can go to the TikTok page. You can go to the X, which we really don't use much.
Yeah.
Maybe we do. I don't know.
You're on everything.
I've never understood Twitter. I don't know how Twitter works.
I don't, honestly, me either.
And really, I have a really hard time with Instagram. I don't. I can. My daughter can make it walk and talk. If I need to do something, I'll say, "Kinley, how do I do this?"
Yeah.
And Dad, don't you know how to do anything? I evidently no, I don't. Yeah. Anyway, from that hub, from littletexasonline.com, you can go into our very small, tiny universe.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us, Duane. We're going to play some Little Texas on Y'all 106.7.
We were about 3/4 of the way through this project, and Brandyn and I realized that we had missed out on a very important genre of Texas music, which was Tejano music. Let's face it, without Tejano people and their culture and everything, we would not have what is known as Texas music today. And it's not until you get out of the state that you realize how much you miss it. And we said, you know what? Let's do a version of God Bless Texas. Do it in Spanglish. Do it, half English, half Spanish, and make it a full Tejano production. So I called my buddy Sonny Salceda, and I'd met him over 20 years ago when he was with a band called Grupo Vida. And Sonny is the Eddie Van Halen of accordion. He can do things with the accordion that are just ungodly and should probably be illegal. But he's been a great friend of mine for many, many years. And he brought in his friends, Keith Nieto, who is very, very famous south of the border, but lives in Dallas. He's, wonderful guy. And Rico Gonzalez from the band Kinfo. Great fiddle player. Charlie Daniels is his god hero. And the three of them came together and did this thing and put the perfect Tejano musical blend on it. And we said, okay, well, this sounds great. It's fun. It's happy. It's a really cool twist on the song, but with the original track, so it has that familiarity but Tejano flavor. And I'll be darned if that thing did not just make it up to number 2 on the Tejano charts.
Wow.
And we were like, it can't go any further. It's 24. I'd call the guys, say, hey, we got a top, now we got a top 20 hit. Oh, well, then it went to 11. Oh, went up to 11 to 5. Guys, we got a top 5. And, there's no promotion money going into this. We're all broke. We can't afford to, push this thing any higher. And all of a sudden, it goes to number 2. And I said, guys, we got a shot at 1. Well, the next week, the chart came out, and it went from 2 to, gone. But, close enough.
Hey, you were on that number 2 spot, though.
Got the number 2 spot on a Tejano version of God Bless Texas, which has never been done before. And I am so proud of that version. And the guys that worked on it with me are just ecstatic. And I'm hoping that does some great things for them.
Yeah. That's really special. I mean, Texas country in itself. What do y'all call it? Red dirt country, red clay country.
Yeah. But the biggest reason I wanted to do this was I grew up, in the 70s. Freddie Fender was big. Johnny Gonzalez was big, but Freddie Fender actually was indirectly responsible for Little Texas getting the record deal on Warner Brothers. They didn't know what to do with us in the beginning. They see a bunch of long-haired hippie, rock and roll wannabes, and they didn't know how to market it really. They weren't sure what to do with us, and they were about to say, sorry guys, this isn't going to work. Be gone with you. And Freddie Fender at the time was in the Texas Tornadoes, and they were on Warner Brothers. And we had just done a show with Freddie in Lancaster, Texas. And evidently Freddie went back to his label rep and said, I just did a show with this band in Texas, and they are amazing. They're called Little Texas. You need to check in with them. And they said, well, we already have them on a development deal. Maybe we need to look a little bit deeper into this band. Yeah. So that's that's the full circle of my love for Tejano music in Texas. Yeah. But as a give back, especially to Freddie, I really wanted to do that one.
Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
That is very special. Huge deal.